said, here we go.
Here we go. And we're off.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Everybody wants to know what happens. Okay, so the name of our show is Let's Not Get Into It. And here we go. Let's get into it.
Yes.
So maybe a word of introduction first. My name is Lee. I'm one half of your entertainment group today.
I'm Mary. The other half.
Yes, I'm joined by the lovely Mary Fisher on the other side. Well, not the other side, but halfway across the country. Halfway across the country,
Just
I
half.
guess.
Uh-huh.
But through the miracle of computers, we're together and we're here to entertain you. So here we go. Mary, what's new? Oh, we should probably let me just introduce ourselves because Mary and I went to school together. Don't worry, it'll be fast. We went to school together in a little town in Nebraska a few years back. We knew each other. I wouldn't say we were friends necessarily. We traveled in different groups, but that's okay.
There were lots of groups. It really was a big enough school for that time.
Well,
there were quite a few groups of folks hanging out.
I kind of hung out with the dirtbags, to be honest, and a little bit of the nerds, but most of the dirtbags. So, whatever. But anyway, cut to many years later, and we sort of connected on the social media, and now we're here to entertain you.
Here we are.
And here we are. So, let's get started. What do you think? We had an election recently, didn't we? A little presidential election. What were the results?
Fair and free election. Joe Biden won.
Joe Biden.
The Democratic candidate, yeah. Yeah, oddly, there might be some, looking for a polite word, people who may disagree, but that's simply because IQ 45 is refusing to accept the fact that he lost. Not the first time he's lost something, certainly won't be the last time, but I think it's the most public loss that he's ever had. And so he's just whining like a petulant child. Just my thoughts.
Exactly. Well, here's the thing that gets me, though, is it doesn't matter if he concedes. Who cares if he concedes? It's a formality. One team can stay on the field and say, we didn't lose. We're going to stay here until you admit we won. But it doesn't matter. The score goes down as written. So there's so much. And look, I know the reason why the media does this is because they want you to watch. And a pissed off viewer is the same as an interested viewer. As long as you're watching, they don't really care. So I understand keeping this narrative alive.
I don't think the narrative would be as much in the forefront if he would just stop tweeting, or if people would perhaps just ignore him, which some are. If he would just be quiet and go away, it would be over. But he won't stop.
Somebody like him, I mean, the guy's obviously a narcissist, sociopath, whatever else you want to diagnose him with. But the worst thing you can do to a narcissist is ignore them. So that's exactly what we should be doing to this guy. I mean, I understand when he's president of the free world, sure, you do need to kind of walk on eggshells because he's got power. He doesn't have any power anymore. Okay, he's got power for the next 50 or so days, but it's very, very limited. We don't have to hang on every word he says or every tweet. Just ignore it. Doesn't matter.
The EPA is finally saying no to him. All of these new things that he's proposing, and they are saying no, thank you. So finally, someone is standing up to him.
Well, I mean, it has to. It's too bad that nobody stood up for him when it mattered. Now that really nothing can be done to them, and they're really, I think, looking at their own political futures. I'm afraid that I don't. All the GOP will eventually pivot against Trump. They'll have to for their own to just or it'll die. They'll have to pivot on him because this guy. It's a cult of personality. It's not a cult of ideas. There's no ideology behind Trump that people are going to keep following after he's gone. It's just a cult of personality. Once he's gone, it will dissolve. It will completely dissolve.
Does he have to go away, but his children need to go away?
I'm afraid
they have no intentions of doing so.
I think they might just have a couple of legal problems that might keep them that might put them away for a while. Let's hope. But
yes.
In the meantime, it's just
It's left the color orange.
It's funny though that 30% of our country is living in a complete fantasy world right now. I mean, complete fantasy, not a difference of opinion, not a discourse of any sort. This is purely.
Is it just 30?
Well, I'm thinking probably 30%. I mean, if you go by the percentage of people who actually voted for the guy, and say it's probably less than that. So there were people who voted for Trump who are not completely crazy. Billionaires, for instance, they know which side of their bread is buttered, whatever that phrase is.
Bread is buttered on.
Thank you. I hate to dangle my participles out there though, or my modifiers, or whatever they are. So, all I'm saying is let's say it's probably significantly the group of people who legitimately believe, okay, that the election was stolen, that some votes materialized, or that.
Well, let's be honest. We know some of them.
Against Trump too. We do know some of them. I have to take pride in that I don't know many of them very well. No, I knew them when they were different people.
Well, and obviously not all of these people believe what he's saying, but they are willing to put up with everything that he is doing because he is providing tax breaks for them and getting them their way with what they want, regardless of the benefit for the nation, in our standing here at home and in the world.
But some people believe it. Some people believe this whole. I mean, if you spend any time looking at Parlay Parlor, whatever the new app for Nazis, which I have to give them kudos for naming it something that at least half of their consumers won't be able to pronounce. So that's a bonus. It's Parlay.
I reside. The governor in the state in which I reside joined and very proudly put his little handle, his little name out there on Facebook so everybody could read it and make sure and follow him.
It's really it's kind of like Twitter, but it's only alt-right people, at least from what I've noticed. So it's Sean Hannity, it's Gavin McInnes, it's all the usual suspects.
Well, that's its purpose.
Some of those people definitely believe this. They've created a false narrative, and they believe it, whether it's siphoned through the QAnon people or what. But there is a completely false narrative that some certain people do believe. All right. Here's my question for you. Do you think Donald Trump believes that he won the election, or do you think that he knows he lost the election but is just trying to create chaos?
Well, from what they're saying, in the beginning, he really did believe that it was stolen, and it's taking a lot of people trying to convince him that this is what happened. I don't think he has the capacity to accept failure, to recognize it. There's always been somebody sweeping up after him, or when the casinos failed, it was somebody else's fault. When the hotel failed, it was somebody else's fault. And now he's the president. His name is really the only one on it. So he has to take responsibility for himself, by himself. And I just don't think he's capable.
I think when you're 70, whatever he is, and you've lived an entire life of having absolutely no consequences, then why would you change? Is he capable of changing? Probably not.
I don't think he need to.
I personally, I don't know.
Right, everybody else is wrong.
Yeah, that's how a narcissistic mind works. Everything goes through that filter. So I think to understand somebody like Trump, you need to understand narcissism, and then try to, because the media, and I hate
a psychology degree and any cognitive behavioral therapy training I've had, everything has to come out to deal with this thing.
See, you knew you'd use that eventually, right? Maybe you didn't expect to use it on the president, but
No, this one was a surprise.
but my opinion is at the beginning. I don't know about now. Maybe someone has broken through to him and explained the situation to him in a way that he can understand. All right, I'd love to be as they say, a fly on Mike Pence's head for that conversation. But definitely before, in the early days, I'm 100% convinced he knew that he won. Because if you look at it, he's surrounded himself with only yes men now. Only yes. Nobody's told him the truth about anything because they're afraid of him, basically, and plus he can't understand the truth. So
no.
I would say that they probably did create a narrative in his mind that, I mean, let's be honest, they cheated. Of course they cheated as much as they could. So they probably were pretty convinced, yeah, we got this in the bag. Just like 2016, Russia's going to give us a little hand. We're screwing up the post office, so mail-in ballot. Okay, everything seems to be in line here. All the ducks are in a row. So I think he probably was convinced that they cheated enough to win. Therefore, it didn't make any sense that the other team. I don't think
he was counting on Krebs being as good at his job as he was.
No.
Which kind of took a lot of the potential storylines for him, took those away.
And I think the postal workers are some of the unsung heroes because I read lots of reports of postal workers literally undoing, and illegally they could have lost their jobs for undoing the destruction that was done by DeJoy.
As much as they could.
As much as they could. So I think
back together.
Yeah, the plan definitely was to screw up mail-in votes and then declare victory because it would look like Trump was winning because the Republicans also made it impossible to count the votes until after Election Day. So, of course, votes during election night were going to lean heavily towards Trump. Okay, that was the plan. He was going to call the election once he was in the lead. Fox was going to go along with it, and then do what he was trying to do with all the lawsuits, trying to gum things up and get a lot of them, or possibly all of the mail-in ballots thrown out. That was the plan. Well, didn't really go so well, and especially because of Fox. If Fox hadn't called Arizona when they did, then he probably could have gotten away with it, or possibly, at least he would have. We would not be in the position we're in right now. I think there still would be some uncertainty if he'd gotten away with that. All right.
I think had things transpired in that direction, there would have been a legal fight from the Democrats sooner, and even from the states and from the military, because a lot of those mail-in ballots that arrive late are military.
Yeah. It depends on. I think it would have depended on how the narrative unfolded. If it's the old frog in the boiling water doesn't know it's being. You turn up the heat on the frog, and it doesn't know it's not going to jump out of the. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Heats up slow enough. It doesn't.
Look it up. If anybody doesn't understand what I'm saying, look it up. Frog, boiling water. You'll understand. It'll make perfect sense.
Yeah. So the water heats up slowly enough that the frog doesn't realize he's being boiled to death.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
So I'm here.
I thank you, my translator. So I think if it had unfolded in a way that people could have been outraged about, but still thought, oh well, things are playing out legally at least, maybe not the way I wanted them to, but once I think that narrative got destroyed, then it became the nuts, the QAnon nuts. Well, they got to believe something. They have to believe. They're incapable of believing that Donald Trump, their dear leader, lost.
Yes.
So they have to. Yeah, it has to be some crazy narrative, which I think is hilarious. And I have to say, Rudy Giuliani is I think, in my opinion, he's the best comedian working today. He went in 2 weeks' time. He went from Borat 2, which in my opinion, he should get an Oscar nomination for that.
Ugh.
Okay. To
Real.
Four Seasons Landscaping. Four Seasons
Yes.
Total Landscaping live performance. Amazing. Knocked it out of the park. A couple days later, he's got brown goop running down the sides of his face. And it caps it off with the most beautiful video I've ever seen, I think. It was the day after the hair dye thing. He's at some Klan rally or something or other. And he pulls out, you know what I'm talking about?
C thing.
This is the handkerchief thing. He pulls out a handkerchief. First of all, I want to say, anybody who uses a handkerchief, you're disgusting, okay? Nobody uses handkerchiefs anymore. We have tissues. All right? Industrial Revolution came along. Now we have tissues. You don't need to fold the thing back up and put it in your pocket, okay? It's got snot on it.
It's a generational thing.
Okay, well, Julie, so here's what happens. Rudy pulls out his handkerchief from his pocket, all right? Blows his nose in it. And it's a good one, too. It's not just okay. He proceeds to fold the handkerchief outwardly so that the side that he just blew his snot into is now on the outside of the handkerchief. All right. He dabs the corners of his mouth with it. He wipes his lips with it. He wipes his forehead with it. Most glorious 3 minutes of video I've ever seen in my life. It's just, like, he's the gift that keeps on giving. I love him. And you
need to stay
I grew up in Nebraska.
I gotta go back to the Borat thing real quickly.
Yes.
They were in this hotel suite. They're in the living room area conducting this interview. She says, "Would you like to join me in the bedroom for a drink?" Now, you know he was thinking. Ultimately, because if she just wanted to have a cocktail with him, they would have just stayed in the living room. It was a total sin.
Fair enough.
Beyond fair enough. I mean, if that happened to you, what would your thought have been? Be honest. If you just want to have a cocktail, you stay in the living room area where you are.
Well, I don't know if this was in one of the movies or if this was on the TV series, the LG TV series, but he tried the same thing or a similar thing with Bernie Sanders once. And Bernie Sanders, he's like, I'm not going to fall. Rudy Giuliani is not a smart guy, okay?
Yeah.
I think it's obvious, regardless of what Rudy thought was going to happen in that moment, which I think we're on the same page as to what he thought he was going to get.
Well,
but
obviously.
The fact is that it's so easy for anybody with fake credentials, let's face it, she had fake credentials, to get that close to him. That means, can you imagine the blackmail that's on this guy already? If he's so willing to do that with no vetting whatsoever or no apprehension, is just, yep, unzip the fly and here we go. Then
he's tucking in his shirt.
Excuse me. Yes,
Just
tucking. That's right. Forgot.
He just needed to lay back onto the bed to tuck in his shirt.
Oh, sure.
She had taken off the microphone that didn't affect that at all.
No. I regrettably, and I understand why Sasha, he said, ran out and basically stopped the scene before it went any farther because he was afraid for her, which is legitimate. But I wish he had gone, he let it go just maybe a few more seconds later, because at this point, you and I and everybody reasonable knows what Rudy was up to. But there's still a little bit of wiggle room in there for people to say, oh, he was just adjusting his... If he actually had, let's say, pulled his pants off, there wouldn't be any question about that. Regardless, he's the best comedian working today. I love him. You know, I moved to New York in '87, so I was here for the entire Giuliani administration. And I will tell you that the America's Mayor crap after 9/11, total BS. Anybody who was mayor here would have done an equal job or better job than he did. He happened to be standing in the spot where the mayor stands when this happened. Luckily for him, he was a crook. Everybody knew he was a crook. He busted up the Italian mob only to make room for the Russian mob. So anyway, that's my my hot take on Giuliani. Can't wait to see what he does next. So she'll make me lunch. I can do the fourth block there. I told her I was going to make pizza rolls for lunch, and she said,
Huh. So here's my completely off politics in a way.
please.
I don't know if you've ever dealt with the legal system and kids and different things. I was a legalist for 2.5 years, and one of the things that we dealt with were kids and being taken away from their parents or trying reunification, all of those things. And I learned then the court system wasn't interested in the better interest of the children. And I kind of hoped through all of these years that it had changed. We'd had a recent experience, and it's still the same.
How so?
It's get the children back with a parent or both parents, regardless of the consequences, regardless of the situation. This archaic and very guided belief that somehow a parent is a better home, regardless of what that person is like.
Right. It's sort of, is it because we have this notion that like the quote unquote nuclear family is what is the ideal that everybody should be brought up in, so as close to that as possible is what they
Yeah.
I mean, is that part of it? They would I'm curious if the same treatment's given to say gay parents or in certain states interracial parents, interracial couples who are parents. You know what I'm saying? Like, would they be scrambling if both parents were gay? Would they be scrambling as hard to put them back in the home, or would they be? You know what I'm saying? I don't know the answer to that, but
Greatly depending upon the state, they'd be scrambling to get the child out of the home. I
correct,
think.
correct. Yeah.
I think it depends so much on the belief system of those in power, and it is just an archaic system that you think changes might be happening, and then they don't.
Well, somebody must be working on changing the system, right? I mean, who are the heroes out there doing that? We just don't know who they are.
I mean, we wrote reports. There are different organizations, but it obviously, I can't repeat anything that I learned and read while I was working, or anything about this current situation of which I'm familiar. But who's looking out for the vulnerable? I mean, just because you gave birth to somebody, or you, will say, contribute in another manner, that doesn't make you a parent. It doesn't make you a mother or father, in my view. It just makes you somebody who had a child, or somebody who contributed to the conception of a child.
Is part of the problem?
I think those are earned titles.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. Is part of the problem that the alternative is so much worse? I mean, as far as like the foster system or whatever, that there are more problems. No, I don't know. I'm wondering if that's the case.
How could, if a parent is abusive, physically, emotionally, mentally abusive, how is that a safe place to send a child? Sorry.
Right.
Going into the deep stuff today.
No. Well, look, every time, and this happens far too often, obviously, but every time there's a situation where a child is found dead who's been abused in completely unspeakable ways, every time it plays out as the same. Well, not every time, but okay. It seems like more often than not, the narrative is that they sent somebody out 37 times to this people, and like nobody's there's the system
Okay, but then
itself has so many
doesn't it seem like repair the system?
Mm-hmm.
Don't. I mean, who's supposed to be looking at these foster families? They were not vetted properly, obviously. Who's supposed to be doing the home checks?
Right.
I think the teachers, if a teacher suspects anything, they have to call in. And I know in some of these cases that the teachers did. And so it was the government agencies that dropped the ball.
Right. I mean, unfortunately, with my experiences with government bureaucracy, I know there's so many layers of incompetence that it's almost intentionally set up that way so that there can be a fall guy. That the chain is going to be, there's several weak links in the chain, just so that, maybe not by design, but it's certainly worked out that way. I mean, it should be as simple as a person pays a visit, they see awful stuff going on in the home, the child's taken out of there. It should be that simple, but obviously it's not, because, like you said, it goes
to the school reports.
It goes to somebody else, and then it goes to somebody else, and then it goes to somebody else, and there's so many people who can drop the ball. And that's why you end up with a situation where they say, well, we sent somebody out 37 times to this house. Like, who is the villain? I don't know. I mean, what's obviously there isn't an answer, but what are some answers to that?
Better vetting, as far as foster care is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
6-month checkups.
Like a physical checkup.
Yes.
Yep.
Every 6 months.
Maybe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that goes straight in.
Yep.
Hire more people. And somebody's going to say, oh, there isn't money for this. Well, the money is somewhere. It is. And as far as returning them to parents, don't. Use some common sense. Learn, grow, become enlightened in this area.
Yeah, the excuse of no money can never be used again.
People in your lifetime who would have been far better off in a location that was not their own home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not
right.
I mean, they're destroying these children for life. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's where my brain is today.
No, it isn't. It's. I mean, obviously, it's a very complicated situation.
But it's not. To leave it as it is an untenable, but it can be repaired. It can be fixed if somebody wants to take time. Or listen to the people who have experience in those areas and say, what would you recommend? Okay, 5 simple steps to take care of this area from the attorney. Then you go to the school. All right, what would you recommend for ways? If we report, what is your experience on any follow-up, anything? Okay, all right, so there needs to be a 24 to 72 hour follow-up period. You decide what that is from the foster care system. And I know that they have all of these people. This isn't paperwork. These are people's lives. These are children.
Do you know of any organizations that are the heroes in this, that people can, like anybody listening can maybe check out and support in any way?
CASA is an organization. Attorneys, when they're in, they represent them as guardian ad litem. But everybody just sends the reports to them.
Okay.
And they send it in. CASA is an organization where an individual who is not in that case, but generally is an attorney, has qualifications, is the representative for that child.
Okay.
So it's not who they stay with, but that's who is kind of central to making sure. And I wish I could tell you what CASA stands for. CASA.
CASA?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Stands for house. Or is it an anagram? Maybe is it? I mean, I'm not being facetious. Does it just mean house, or is it an anagram for something else, or both?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. See, maybe we just need to make a little bit of noise.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Or a lot of noise.
obviously the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and it's the kind of situation that people, unless you know somebody who's in that situation, then it's not even ever going to be on your radar, right? I mean,
I don't know if you hear it on the news.
yeah, if
it's something. I mean, I get what you're saying with in your radar. If it doesn't seem to be something that is directly related to any situation in your life or anyone you know, then no, it's not going to.
Yeah. Why would you even think about it? Yeah. I mean, we should.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't say. I mean, to be honest, I can't say that I do know anybody in that situation currently. So it's not something that would be on. It isn't a problem that I would even think of on a daily basis because of that. Unlike, say, global warming or any of the things that that
yes,
the media at least puts in front of you every day, so that you can't forget about it.
We just need to get it out there more.
All right. Well, there we go. So CASA would be a good place for people to start.
Just people screaming. What's wrong with the system? Why is it like this?
One thing we can do also is once we post this show, we can put show notes and with links to learn more, that kind of thing.
Yes. Well, I would say honestly, you've got to they'd have to contact the foster care system. You need to contact the legal system to see why they still follow this idea, why these judges follow this idea that being with a parent, and I don't like how loosely they use that word at that point.
A biological parent.
Better, yeah. Biological people is better for the physical safety, the emotional. Well, I mean, I recently watched somebody. It's hard to talk about because it's going to. This person was making progress, good progress, and having to be sent back it's not a supportive environment. It's not a healthy environment, and they're just going to regress.
So I get that you can't talk about this in too much detail, but you're saying a person was put into foster or was living with foster parents and then returned to a biological parent against their wishes?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, and the person, are they, obviously they're a minor, but are they close enough to not being a minor that that their opinion would make any difference? No?
Not close enough.
Okay.
No.
And I imagine that that you or somebody else petitioning the court on behalf of this person wouldn't do any good, or would it? I mean, if they're looking at bottom line.
Actually, looking into seeing what we can do a little bit.
Okay. No, I don't know anything about the process, so I'm wondering if it's even possible that an outside.
I don't know, because we have no legal rights.
Wow.
So on to happier things, my dog's
Let's fix the system.
Cause a ruckus. Just make some noise.
Make some
Change
noise.
The world. Change the world.
You're about to cough, and then that's it. Nobody has any.
Change the world.
You can't change the world, but you can change your moisturizer.
I can change the world.
You
I
can?
can change the world.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the moisturizer, I think. Just for now. Baby steps.
Mm-mm.
No?
I work with a group, and we're doing one organization that I'm involved in. Doing good stuff all the time.
What group is that? Plug them. Let's plug.
Standing for Nebraska.
Okay. And what do they do? I mean...
Well, it was formed about a year ago, or a little over a year, by a group of women a small group who are all allies. And now the board of directors has increased, and the diversity is amazing. And we also have folks who external board members that will come in and advise in certain situations. Let's see. We have done what I call angel projects, where one I was involved with, a gentleman was suffering from his second bout of cancer and had some homes that he would let people who were having job loss or coming from an abusive situation, just all kinds of things. He offered a safe home. And he was putting a fence up. He couldn't do it, obviously, with his illness. So a little request came in, and it was a bigger project than we thought. But went in from standing to setting it up to painting and to painting again and to leveling the ground and bringing more dirt so they could plant clover. Journey for Justice, which there's a town 45 miles away and a trail. People walked, rode their bikes. Some people drove. Some went the whole way, and some only went a partial way. A lot of it is calling attention to different injustices that are going on. Feeding families a lot through the holidays and at different times, contributing to different organizations. Right now we are part of a clothing, well, it's with the Youth Collaborative. First they did a clothing and shoe drive and such for the residents of Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and right now we're doing coats and blankets and socks and hats and gloves. There are about 30,000 people on Pine Ridge, and they just don't have what they need. And it's not for not trying, but when you can't have much industry there, much business, that's another soft spot. It's a wonderful, wonderful organization. You should have to look it up.
Oh, I will. So say it again.
Stand in for Nebraska.
Stand in for Nebraska.
Stand in for Nebraska.
Awesome. And we'll have a link in the show notes. I love seeing that.
And Sarah, who was one of our founding members, is an associate English professor at the university, and she is such a good speaker. I wish maybe sometime I'll see if she wants to come on and talk about it. Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Someone who can actually give the organization justice.
You know, I just had a thought about the foster system and all that. I'm wondering, is there, and this is kind of separate but related, I think. I wonder if there's like some sort of an underground railroad where people are protecting children from bad situations like that. You know what I mean? Where, I mean, obviously it would be underground, so we wouldn't know the people's names, but there must be some real angels out there doing that. You know what I mean?
I'm not going to get myself
rescuing children from
legal at this point, but we will do what we can within the legal system to try and help, and then put ourselves out there to try and start changes.
Awesome.
Get changes made.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not advocating law breaking necessarily. I'm just if it happens, it happens.
Find out if they exist. Don't you do it? But just
right.
There.
Hey, I wouldn't mind knowing how to make a bomb. I'm not going to make a bomb. I just want to know how to make one. That's all.
I don't.
What's wrong with that?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Just.
So.
Okay.
I also. There's that fake news channel. One of them.
The Newsmax or OAN.
Oh, it's a faux news channel.
I love that the insane Trump supporters have already ditched Fox News. It's just so wonderful.
Oh yeah, it's awful now.
They're liberals.
And they were talking about the vaccinations. Who should all get them? And somebody was talking about teachers should get them we want the kids back in school, we want it safe, blah, blah, blah. And this one guy, who obviously hasn't been in the classroom for a very long time, was talking about how most teachers are young. They're young, they're new in the field, they're safe, they're good, they're fine. And then that one gal who used to be a comedian, I don't know if she was ever funny or considered funny by anyone. Do you know who I'm talking about? Wears glasses. President John F.
She was a comedian?
Yeah. And now she's on Faux News. Isn't that kind of comparable?
Oh, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What? No, she wasn't. She was a VJ, wasn't she? An MTV VJ? Kennedy, is that who you're talking about?
Also a comedian, though. Also, yeah. Don't say it. Yeah. I had heard she was on one of their shows one time. They had referred to her as a comedian.
Okay. Well.
But she was saying how teachers don't deserve consideration for vaccinations at this point. Well, aren't you somebody?
I'm going to wait to see how Martha Quinn weighs in on this, frankly, before I make up my mind.
Yeah. Oh, what about Tim Curry's son, Alan?
Oh, I don't think he's related to Tim Curry, is he?
Yeah. I think they said
he was a VJ?
Yeah, it's one of the originals.
Oh no, he wasn't. He was
second generation.
Alan Hunter was the first. I hate that I know this. Martha Quinn, of course. Nina Blackwood.
Yes.
JJ something. The black guy, because they had to have a black guy. And who else? Oh, the guy with the fro.
Yeah.
The guy looked like Epstein from Welcome Back, Kotter. Mark Goodman. Mark. Something.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Why do we know this? Why do we know this?
Because there was recently a show, an anniversary show.
Yeah?
Yeah, celebrating. I remember when it first came on.
What? What do they have to celebrate?
Remember the video Killed the Radio Star was the very first song. So if y'all ever have a trivia game, that's it right there. I can save you the answer.
Oh, yes. Well, wait. You want a real trivia question? What's the second song they played? Nobody knows that one. Everybody knows.
I did because a friend of mine who was a DJ in Omaha.
Well,
that at one point.
It was somebody I saw in concert. I saw in Lincoln, Nebraska, I think, back in the 80s. She was a little spark plug of a entertainer, I'll tell you what. Think headband.
Pat Benatar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You better run. You better hide. That was the second video played.
She was just here this last summer. No, her husband actually gets billing as well.
Oh.
And Rick Springfield. And they were at this great venue out at Piners Park. But it was already COVID time, and so I would have loved to have gone. But people were already being a little leery. Yeah. And they limited seating. And so I figured they were sold out. But they were not. Which was a bummer.
It was like an 80s, like a 80s revival type of thing?
It was just those guys. Willie Nelson played out there. They get all genres.
Did you ever watch the several years ago VH1 did this series like where they found bands from the 80s that everybody knew but that had long since broken up, and they tracked them down and they got them all back together for a concert, and they all hated each other. Everybody was
Wang Chung.
Awful people. Wang Chung and Flock of Seagulls was one of them, and yeah. Why would you want to watch the Flock of Seagulls now? Why? I'm sorry. Not you. I'm not accused. I'm not being accusatory. I'm just saying, why would one...
There should be something nostalgic to it all.
Well, can't you just do that by turning on your play the videos if you want to be nostalgic? I mean, do we want to watch Men Without Hats at 70 years old dancing with dwarves? I might,
because it is safety dance.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it this way?
Because that song holds significance. If I were to, my friend Pam and I actually have been driving if that song were ever to come on. We call it, and this is from 30 years ago, I want to say, just because that song, I don't even know how it started. It was got something that we liked about. Yeah, it didn't matter if we were working, it came on.
It's a great song. You can dance if you want to. Yeah. Any video that has a dwarf in it too.
And if they don't dance with it, no one can dance.
Anyway.
We can dance. What was that move?
He does this in the video.
Just checking.
It's like I don't know what it is. Like he's spazzing out or something.
Yes.
That's all I remember from the video. But who from the 80s would you actually like to see right now? Like if they were performing right now, like some 80s performer.
Am I supposed to say Bon Jovi?
You can say anything you want, but
I'd still like to see Cher.
Yeah.
What
kind of a show does Cher put on? Do you suppose?
She was here last year, the year before.
I'm guessing she changes outfits every song.
Man, who knows? She sells out in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Her shows do.
Not judging. I'm just saying.
You're judging.
I'm judging, and I'm also saying that.
I saw Stevie Nicks.
Okay.
That whole she changes her outfit X number of times. She basically had what was the gazebo thing up on the stage, and she would go in, and it was more like tape or shawl. You changed. So that must have been
her moo.
Just
whatever it is.
Just more like the shawl. Probably like, get me out of here. Wow. The friend that I had gone with. I knew the one girl, and the other gal I didn't know, but she had won the Stevie Nicks lookalike contest, something, and was supposed to get a meet and greet after the show, and didn't. And I was devastated. What? Yeah.
Whoa.
I can't imagine.
Did she look a lot like Stevie Nicks, or did?
Yeah, I could see how it happened. Yeah, and she even dressed up. Kind of fitting for the thing. I would see The Cure again.
Okay. My son Jack went to a Halloween party as Robert Smith this year of The Cure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Apparently the drummer was in a bar where I used to work. My friends own it. And it was around Christmas time, and they had just got the jukebox. And I had made sure that The Cure was on there. Uh-huh. And this gal that I worked with was there with her boyfriend and then this other couple that I didn't recognize. And Amy knew that I loved The Cure. So I kind of got set up. So, put money in the jukebox, play whatever you want. So, of course, I'm playing The Cure, blah, blah. Turns out it was the drummer.
Okay.
Yes, I'm majorly,
Yeah.
But he's not in makeup or anything, and he's in the background anyway. Yeah, and nobody told me that. Amy didn't tell me that for a few weeks.
At least it wasn't the bassist.
Well, the whole thing was I was like fangirl without knowing it, so they kind of got to chuckle at me.
No, what if it had been Robert Smith? Would you have been like complete fangirl? And, oh my gosh! Or, again, not judging.
I might have. I would have done my best not to be.
Have you? No offense, but have you seen him recently? And again, no offense.
You realize that when someone prefaces something, you're actually.
Yes.
That's a thing.
We all get older. Some of us get fatter. I get it. Okay, no shame in it. It's natural.
Why are you bagging on him, man?
I'm just saying.
Why are you bagging on him? You are.
All I'm saying is if I was
on him, you're saying, have you seen? Oh, he's old. He didn't preserve him well.
Let me backtrack a bit. Nothing wrong with being old. Nothing wrong with being fat.
I'm pretty sure this is what I say, Lee.
Yeah.
Put down the shovel.
Okay.
Just put it down. Put it down.
I might just not do the hair thing anymore, though, if I looked like he does. That's all I'm saying. I might find a more conservative look that might, fit with.
You mean like Kiss?
Well, see, Kiss, Kiss had the right idea because you put the makeup on. It doesn't matter what you look like, frankly. Those guys can be 200 years old if they're wearing the makeup years. Don't you think?
You see up close and skin to skin.
I, I don't have any plans to be up close with Kiss.
No.
I really don't. I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, because anything can happen. You can and boom, there you go. But I have no plans on being anywhere within 60 feet of any member of Kiss.
I'd probably go to a Kiss concert. They were here not that long ago. Well, wow, 3 years ago? 3 years ago. And they were in Lincoln. And I wanted to go. And then I got a call from my sister to go dog sit for them. Well, I love their dogs and their cats, and I mean, get out of this town for a little bit. Absolutely. So I go. And I said, where are you going? The Kiss concert. I would have loved to have gone. She's like, had I known that, you would have had my ticket.
And one of them is a cat too. The drummer's a cat, right?
Oh.
So
it's not. How long ago did Peter Criss leave? Shortly after writing Beth?
Good question. Well, I don't think he left. I think he got kicked out. Gene and Paul are like the real a-holes of the story. They kicked Ace out. They kicked Peter Criss out, and then they let him get back in when they did a reunion. But the caveat was they had to sign over all the rights to Gene and Paul, right? So they got paid. Yeah, so they got paid to do the shows, but all merchandising rights no longer belong to them.
So they got a wage.
So yeah, they got exactly.
Yeah,
they got a wage like the roadies did. Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever. But
well, Paul can't dance very well, so there's that.
Yeah, I met the Thompson twins once.
Did you?
What do you think about that? Yeah, all three of them.
That's fun.
Yeah. It was they play. I believe they played in Lincoln. No, maybe they played in Hastings or some small town. But I was working at a record store, and we sold tickets for the show, and because of that, I got backstage passes.
Dirt cheap?
I'm sure they were like $10 or something.
No,
at Dirt Cheap
store.
I haven't heard that name in a long time. What was Dirt Cheap?
I ended up working with the guy who had owned it. He and his wife.
It was a record store, right?
Yeah, it was a super cool record store.
Oh hell yeah! That was in Lincoln or in?
Yeah.
Hell yeah! I used to drive to Lincoln to go to Dirt Cheap. I just forgot the name, but yeah. No, I worked at Dusty's. Remember Dusty's? That was nobody's gonna remember this. It was a guy. I think he started in Hastings, and then he eventually opened up a store in Grand Island. And I worked there. I think a summer when I came back in between, like, after Los Angeles, before New York. I think I worked there for like a summer or something. It was an indie store. It was privately owned, so it wasn't corporate and stuff. Yeah, but oh boy, the Thompson twins.
Do you ever get those? Are you part of that group? If you're from GI, do you remember?
Yes, I do.
It's been a long time since either of us lived there, and sometimes I feel kind of bad. And they're like, name a bar that's closed. I don't know. Is Rathskeller still there? There was one in Georgia, and I used to go to one summer when I was back. And what was it called? The Discreet Lounge. And we would go over there just to see if you could catch people, because I don't know how people even made it to a booth or a table. It was so dark in there.
I just remembered I DJ'd at one of those bars. I don't think it was that bar, but
no, they didn't want lots of people in there, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Listen to the name.
Somebody's phone.
I probably should have answered that.
No, we
could have had a prank phone call on here.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was a prank phone call?
It would have been. It didn't have the potential spam.
We should do prank phone calls on our show next time. I did that one. Well, I used to co-host a podcast. It was about movies mostly with my buddy, and one time we started talking about doing prank calls, And we were like, oh, we should do a prank call. It'd be really fun. And so producer calls up some video store or something in, I don't know, Kansas, whatever. And then my buddy just pushes the mic over to me and puts it like this. Oh, I guess I'm on. So I had to do a live prank call. It didn't go anywhere, really.
Well, there's a whole show with prank calls. I don't know if it's still around.
I love prank calls when they work. I don't. Are you talking about? Well, there's the crank anchors. Crank anchors. Talk about that with the puppets. No, where they have puppets sort of recreate the prank calls.
They actually make prank calls. I think I could watch it for about 3 minutes and then I was bored.
Oh, yeah. There's a real art to it. I think with any prank, it's really crucial that you direct it at the right person, because it's not funny if you call up some emergency room where people are busy and trying to save lives and keep them on the phone. That's not funny, okay? But yeah, so it's
why go to that effort when there are so many spam and ridiculous people calling now that you can just play with them.
Exactly. There's a guy.
Them a minute or two of your time.
There's a guy who does a live Twitch stream, and then he posts it on YouTube, which I recommend if anybody is interested in getting back at telemarketers. This guy, basically all he does, he set up a live stream, and he just entertains calls from these, not from telemarketers, I'm sorry, from scammers, from the people who target usually older people. They'll say, Microsoft has determined you've got a virus on your computer. Call this number, okay? You call the number, and they ask you for money, okay? Mm-hmm. Well, this guy keeps them on the phone for hours and plays elaborate games with them as different characters using voice changers and stuff. And it's just so much fun. Kit Boga, if you're interested, go to YouTube.
And how do they not?
Kit Boga.
At what point do they not figure out, or do they just leave that one and go on to another one?
Eventually, they'll figure it out. Sometimes he'll reveal at the end of a long call. He'll let them know. Sometimes they just get so frustrated they hang up. But it's beautiful. He'll get them on there. He'll keep them on there for hours and hours and hours with the promise of a $500 gift card, which this little old lady who doesn't even exist is supposed to send to them, right? It's just so much. And when they're broken at the end, that's the best. It's just so cathartic when you just hear this guy. And for whatever reason, they all seem to be from India, or they're calling from India or Bangladesh, maybe. Say again.
And their name is John or Steve.
Yes. Oh, yes. They always have a fake, ridiculously fake American-sounding name. And he'll ask them, where are you calling from? They'll say, California. And they'll say, oh, what's the weather like in California right now? Because of course they don't know. It's funny. If you've ever been frustrated by one of these people, it's very cathartic to listen to. Kit Boga, Kitboga. Check him out. Anyway, he's not a sponsor or anything. But speaking of sponsors, I'm having a Snapple right now. Okay? I know we don't have any sponsors yet, but
I don't have.
We might be able to entice them.
Hold on.
I have to admit.
I got something here.
Yeah?
9. Hip and joint canine supplements. Where's the thing? There it is.
That would be an awesome sponsor. Yeah.
It's CBD. My little doggy has a sore hip. And so he just gets one of these in the middle of the night when he wakes up to go tinkle.
Uh-huh.
Outside to Tinkletown. Yeah.
And I understand it's made from the best things on earth.
It's all natural.
All natural. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're listening, we could use you as a sponsor.
Oh.
We'll do live reads. We'll do anything you want. I'll even eat the damn thing if you want.
I can. No, I won't eat funky things or drink funky things. No.
Oh.
No. But I will read. I can read.
I'm also using an Apple
got some
computer
Flex
here,
Seal
so
here.
if the Apple people are listening,
Flex Seal that I can grab.
we could get really rich off of this whole endorsement thing.
Yeah.
Get some sponsors.
So you know what I learned the other day?
No.
The other evening?
I hope not.
Watching Netflix, as I do.
And Netflix, they've got everything on Netflix, don't they? They've got so many movies and television shows and
I
original
watched about the
programming.
royal family, and I did not know that they are actually of German descent. They're not English, they're German. But in the World War, when the bombs that were dropped were Gotha, which was their actual last name, and the English people were trying to really, English citizens, really shuffle the Germans right out. They decided that that might be a PR issue to have the last name matching that of the bomb maker. So it was King George's personal secretary, somebody who said, you need a new name, and had come up with all of these names. Nope, to this, to that, blah, blah, blah. And finally came up with House of Windsor.
House of Whims? House of what?
Windsor.
Windsor. I thought you said House of Whimsy, which I thought would be a pretty good name, too.
Well, it would be, but apparently they have a lot of rules, so I don't think there's much whimsy.
Yeah.
But isn't that, they're actually, for the most part, German, and it was George and his cousin, the Tsar, and he was going to let the Tsar and the family come on over to keep them safe. And then there was a lot of bad press. Nope, shouldn't do that. So he wrote a letter, and it was actually the cousin that decided that Nicholas, it was George who decided that Nicholas and the family could not come to England for safety. And then they got killed.
Huh.
But Nicholas apparently never knew that it was George's decision. He still thought till the end that his cousin was trying to help him. They were childhood friends.
Wow. That's
So I mentioned that to my son, and he's like, oh yeah, and he goes off on this whole thing, and it's like, yeah, okay.
He knew already? Mm-hmm.
He knows stuff.
Well, one thing the Germans are good at is figuring out PR, like overcoming bad PR. They've had a lot of that. So.
Yeah.
We've been going for just over an hour now. Can you believe it?
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know if you are feeling like you want to tie this up so that we don't give the people too much to listen to right away.
You got to clean that up.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I got a little too.
We'll be fine. Hey, the first one's always a little harder.
Turn the cord off real quick.
I don't know that I can without.
Oh, okay.
Without
I'll just tell you later how.
Okay. Well, let's finish this up, and then you can tell me something off the air, and our listeners won't be able to hear it. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking around it. This might actually be a good day for the dog park.
Awesome.
There's cute
little
dog park, not too far from the house. Get Buddy's little thighs. Get the muscles built back up. I'm afraid they're atrophying a bit post-surgery. Yeah.
That sounds like an awesome plan. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we wrap this up? And so don't worry, people. We'll be back in a week. It's okay. So, do you have anything you want to plug? Any upcoming appearances or anything like that? I got nothing. I'll be watching movies later on my computer.
I did miss the Disney sing-along last night.
Oh, jeez.
That's okay. I'll probably be... What is today? Tuesday. There's probably some Real Housewife someplace or Netflix. I'm going to watch. Which one am I going to watch again?
Well, yesterday
Gracie going on.
Yesterday I suggested that we watch Christmas in Connecticut 2, so that and then talk about it on the next show.
But I need to watch Christmas in Connecticut 1, or I just won't get it.
I'm afraid I might need to also, because I looked at the trailer of it, and it's like, this doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, I think we might have to watch both of them. Are you ready are you up for the challenge of 2 Christmas movies with I mean, it's Kurt Russell as Santa. Okay,
Well, Holly Robinson Peete is starring in. It's the fourth movie of this whole holiday thing, and somebody always gets married. And I guess this time she gets married.
Spoiler.
So there's big stuff going on in the holiday movie world. Big stuff.
Sure. I want to watch that one. It's a Hallmark show. It's a Hallmark movie where the guy is wearing a green sweater and the girl is wearing a red sweater.
Oh.
On the cover. Remember that one?
God, there's just that one.
Yeah.
Just that
some
one. Chris
White something. I want to say it was White something. Maybe I'm just thinking of the actors. Well, I'll figure it out. Anyway, let's say goodbye. Let's watch these movies, and next week we got something to talk about, okay? It'll be a Christmas in... What's it called again? Christmas in Connecticut? No, what's it called? Christmas...
Connecticut.
Christmas in hell. Okay.
John Pahonik's worked for me.
Excellent. All right, that's it. That's it for us. You'll see us next week. Don't worry, people. Only a week. Your friends will be back. All right.
Really?
They build coins in the fortune fountain, searching for a place in the mountains where the sexless urchins could moan, watched by clergymen with faces of stone, under the law of human absurdity. When the crying women of Jerusalem are empty of tears, when the bloodthirsty hunters killing their bears to satisfy their hunger for blood, to make the world know that everything could be better for human absurdity. Noblemen die in white wigs when undertakers refuse to dig, and when cocksure heroes massacre innocent, curious people who underrate the power of human absurdity. Malicious snobs, seeming rich, handling the brush to the witch, saying go and show them our charity, let the saints praise our activity. Of hopeful human absurdity. Reincarnations and ghosts chained together will make exchange in the weather. An apparition will appear for someone tonight and explain that things are not right in the land of human absurdity. The tyrants of business in Wall Street will moan of the southern heat when they try to swindle the insane one who realizes that he has the game won. The game of human absurdity. Prisons are filled with blockheads who ambitious crept to bed to experience their wrong imagination that nobody can find compensation for the taste of human absurdity. Sarcastic smiling lawyers underrating their strength, the dwarfs of humanity overrating their length. Even all the stupid fans celebrating and the factory drudges are all underrating the power of human absurdity. Child-killing cars on the highway, gloomy smuggler boats on the seaway, and the sinister drug shark in streets of the town Murderous deeds, hypocrites, they're all fallen down to the bottom of human absurdity. Malicious Chinese producing power again, overflowing the world with radioactive rain, and the Russians incriminating USA. I wish them all welcome